Yo, what's going on guys, and welcome back to yet another video on the channel. Hope everyone is doing good. This video is going to be a little bit different from normal. I'm going to be showing you how I make a music library composition and how I structure and arrange like the one shots and just the VSTs. Not going to really cover the effects as much, but I will show you some. So this is the sample that I made. If you like the sound of that, just stick around and I'll show you all the processes. And before we get into it, I'm nearly at 1k, so once I'm at 1k I'm going to be dropping a music library, so please do follow my Instagram, that's going to be on the screen, and let's get straight into the video. So for starts, I like to always use a piano, even if it's like a vintage piano like this one. It's the Jewel in Keyscape, the Upright Innocence. It's got a blend between two different type of old vintage pianos, and they just blend together great. And I just turn down the reverb every time, the time bit here and the amount, I just always turn that down. And this is what it sounds like. So what I like to do with these chords, here there's an off key A sharp. I like that for tension, and then I just use at the ends like passing chords just to build like tension and resolution, just so it makes a nice little variation and gives that feeling. And then one thing I must say is really do focus on velocity of your keys, because that really can be a vital part of making like the feeling. So once tracked out, I just run that through a EQ and reels as usual. I don't need to get into that. Next I use this broken tone wheel, like warped electric piano that sounds like this. And with that, I just copied the same keys, but then I use this as like a break from the piano. So it just gives a different listen to the listener, and where it's going to be like a big composition, I just need a little bit of a change just to give it a bit of variety. So as usual, I just added a reels, a plate reverb and an EQ, then added this shaper box just to make it pan left to right. And then this is where the automation comes in with the delay. So I use the delay that goes halfway through, it just builds up the mix just so it gives it like a long resolution and like delay version at different parts. Next I added this modern upright piano again, just to give it a little different bit of character in the main piano sample, just pretty much layering and sound selection. That's all I needed to do. Higher velocity and higher pitch. And as usual, I just added a reverb and an EQ. And then what I like to do, I like to make that a little bit mono, so it gives it a mono reverb, as you can see here. Then I like to link it, like sidechain it to another channel. And then I add this portal, gives it like a staggered step delay, just to give it a nice texture in the background. It's really subtle because I'm going to EQ it. So I EQ it like this, just to get out that mud. And it just gives it a nice texture in the sample, gives it a cool variety. And next thing I added was this like Melotron flute, and I'll show you how I made this. And the reason why I use this, because it gives it a nice little drive and then just a different variation, and it just gives it like a little bit of a more like character to it. And what I did with that was just turned it into an ARP, and I just brought the time down. That's how it goes up and down really quick. And all I did was just use different chords at the halfway just to give it a different bit of time. What I wanted to do with this, give it that really gritty vintage feeling, I added this lossy and just brought it down to 96 kilobits per second. That just makes it really like gritty and just give it a nice cool vibe. And then for the automation, I added this phaser. I brought the depth down, and at the ends where it just changes a little bit here, I just brought the mix all the way up just to give it a different feel. It gives it like it flips it a little bit, just gives it a nice bit of character. And then for the breakdown, I added the shaper box automation, and all that does is just filter out some frequencies but goes slowly, gradually down. Next thing I added was this electric piano. This was just to play off the normal chords but just be a single note, just to give it that high pitch frequency and just change a little bit up. Sounds like this. I use that as like an ambient texture sort of pad in the background. And how I do that is I bring up the envelope, I bring up the attack, sustain a little bit, and then I hold it. That just makes it not hit at the same time as the piano and gives it like that pad texture. Then I use this LFO triangle effect to bring up the speed, put the tempo on, and it gives it like a modulated effect and gives it nice character. Then I use this organ, that's J-Boy, and this is for the breakdown. It sounds like this. And all I did was that, use same chords, just took out some notes and just made the hold less harsh, so the release was just less stressful. And that way it just gives other elements like space to breathe. And then the last part of the sample where I bring the piano back in, I added this. It's like a plucked, detuned piano. And then with that again, I wanted to turn it in less of keys, more into like a pad and texture accent. So I brought up the attack, release a little bit, sustain so it would just come up the volume a bit quicker. Then I used the chorus automation, so at the end it just filtered it a little bit and just give it a cool texture. Then for the last 8 bars again, I added this. That's very subtle. It's a bell, brought the attack up again, sustain higher, wanted it to go quick in the volume. Then I threw on this chorus effect, and then what I wanted to do, I wanted that to pan a lot and have a lot of space, so I added this space echo boy, and it just pings left to right and just sounds nice. And I use this vinyl just to bring the brightness back. The reason why I put them strum bells in is because it fed off the last 4 chords and it just gives it a nice bringing back into the sample. Then as usual, I just used a bass, but I took it out for the breakdown. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to give that tension and resolution with the piano, so it gives it a nice bounce and just feeds back into the sample for each bar. I don't even put any effects on it, and the reason why is because I've made such good sound selection at the start, I don't need to filter out them frequencies as much. As you can see here, I'm filtering to the end of the sample with a new guitar that sounds like this. And all that has on is delay, quite a heavy guitar delay, a room reverb, and just took out some mud. And the reason why I use that is just literally another feed into the sample, bit of ear candy, just gives that nice sustained delay feeling vibing into the breakdown. Then for the breakdown again, I added this pluck, and as you can see it just delays slightly in the background. And again, brought up the attack, sustain halfway, just so it wasn't harsh. And as I said with the delay, just a slight delay, not too much. Then I added this warmth texture and perk loop just to drive it and just gives it that nice feeling. Now I added another flute from Melotron. And I feel like I used that just to bounce off the first flute and the guitar nicely, the bass guitar, and it just gives it a cool vibe and really gives it like that vintage rhythm. I compressed it a bit and just turned the lo-fi up a little bit just to give that gritty feeling. Then I just panned it with this shaper box. And then I use this reverse key just as a build up. It sounds like this. Then I added this strummed acoustic guitar at certain points just to give it a nice like feeling. And what I did with this is I automated it, but I recorded it. As you can see here, there's like a WAV file, and that is the mix of this delay. And when I was recording, I just got this flutter and I just went like that, and it just gives it a cool modulated effect for the guitar. It sounds really cool. Then I just added the vocals with some reverb and EQ that sounds like this. I didn't go too crazy in the vocals, they're only for 8 bars, and just used quite a lot of delay. This is how it sounds when I tracked it out and put it down 3 semitones. And as you can see there, as it breaks down, it just gives it so much more space and just a different feeling. It's brilliant. I like it. So last thing I want to touch on is why I've panned stuff left to right and why I've put stuff stereo and mono. Some sounds like pianos I like to pan left to right just to give it more space, and then some stuff like reverbs, accents, I like to put stereo just to give it a nice spread, just to make it more fit in. And then mono, it just gives it a nice textured reverb and just makes it feel a bit more tighter, so it sounds cool. So yeah, that's the whole video, and if you like the structure of this, then please do leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, people.